Hello, in this video we'll see a very interesting game between the Candidate Master Joaquin Perkins against the FIDE Master David Bassett. This game was played in 2015 and Perkins was white, Bassett was black. Let's see how it goes. So, white played e4, black played c5, so this is Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and knight f6. Knight c3, a6. So basically, we are playing the knight variation with the a6, d6, knight f6. It's a very sharp line in which very often both players can play to make a very interesting attack. White played bishop e3. Bishop e3 is an aggressive approach by white because the white idea is play f3, queen d2, and castle queenside, then to push the pawns on the king side and make a pawn storm. Black played e6 to complete his development. It is more common in this position the move e5 in order to attack this knight and develop the bishop in a better square, like in a good active square that can be e6. But e6 makes sense. So black played e6, f3, b5. b5 has the idea to start a counterplay on the queen side, because in the future this pawn can be pushed maybe on b4, and also the other pawn can be pushed to attack the queen side in this case. So queen d2, knight d7, and after that white played castle queenside. Bishop b7, g4. Now with g4 we are starting the attack. The idea is push on g5 to make pressure against this knight. And after that, black played h6 to stop the pawn. And now white played h4 to support the attack with the other pawn. b4. It's important for black find a counterplay. And the idea b4 is useful to attack the knight, and then later also to consider to join with the queen on a5, for example. White played knight a4. In this position, it's also possible to play knight ce2. There are two options. One is knight ce2, and after, for example, queen a5, play something like king b1 to keep the castle defended. This is one option, but also knight a4 is very interesting, and in this position, knight a4 makes complete sense. The idea about that is that having the knight on a4, black has problem to push the pawns because the knight is blocking the black pawns. So now it's very important for black attack the knight playing queen a5. The only way to defend this knight is play b3. b3 is important to defend the knight, and then black plays knight c5. Now there is like a problem for white, because if white plays knight takes e5, I don't think it's very good, because after knight takes e5, for black it's possible to play d takes e5, and then black is attacking the pawn on a2 and knight on d4. So now white is not very good. So for this reason, it's very important for white don't play knight takes e5. The trade is not available for white. But at the same time, white has a problem, because if white doesn't take, next move black will take the knight on a4. So it's very important for white play an active move in this case. Usually, it's not a great idea push the pawns in the side in which we are defending. In this case, white is defending on the queen side. But in this particular case, the push a3 that white played is very good and very important, because the idea is that, yeah, black can take the knight, but in this case we can have a b4, and after a b4, black can play queen c7, and then we can take the knight. What happened here? White won a pawn, but weakened his structure, his king. So it's like equal position in which black has a lot of compensation, but white is up a pawn, and it's all to play. This is the main line about this this variation. That's the main line. It's played many times. But in this game, after the move a3, Bassett didn't play knight a4. That is the best move. He played knight e4, knight f e4, and that's a mistake. It's a mistake because I will see after this line, black will reach a bad endgame. Black idea is to sacrifice the knight white has to take, and then knight takes e4, queen b4. Okay, white took a piece, so it's a good idea to simplify. And trade the queen is a good idea. After that, queen takes b4, pawn takes b4, and the only way for black to take back something in this position is go e5 followed by knight f2 that was played by black. Yeah, now black will take the rook, but it's not great because white will take the knight, and now we have a position in which at the end what happened. Black has a rook, so 5 points against 2 knights. So we have sorry, 2 knights. Sorry, rook and pawn, because black is also up a pawn, so black has rook and pawn, so 6 points against 2 knights. That is always 6. But in general, it's very important to remember that 2 minor pieces are usually better than rook and pawn. So in this case, we consider white in a better position. Also because white has a better development, and I also like the white structure because d6 pawn is like weak, the a6 pawn is weak. So we can say about the material, white is good because 2 knights against rook and pawn are fine. Then black pieces are passive, and also the black structure is not really good. For this reason, we can say that in this position, white has a clear advantage. So for this reason, for black was very important mistake play knight takes e4, because after knight takes e4, black will reach a first line in which his position is bad. So that's the problem. So white reached a very good position, and after knight g3, that was good to increase the white activity. Black is trying to play bishop f3, attacking the rook and the pawn. So black is trying to win the g pawn, but white played well, defending with bishop e2, defending the rook and the pawn at the same time. That's very good. And after that, bishop takes e2, knight takes e2, bishop e7. The pawn at h4 is defended well by the bishop, so it's not a threat. And white played knight b6. It's good to improve the knight position and try to reach the out spot on d5. That for sure is a very, very good square for the knight. So after that, black played the rook b8 and then knight e5. Bishop d8, knight e3. Probably this is the first mistake that white played in this game. Until here, white played very, very good. Very well in the opening, very good in the middle game. Probably knight e3 is the first mistake. White's mistake because white doesn't need to retreat with the knight. The knight on d5 is very strong, so let's keep this knight here. Probably the best move for white is improve playing c4, supporting the knight and pushing the pawns. The plan can be like play king c2, king c3, improve the king, and in the future try to win the game with that pawns on c and b. For example, an idea would to make a pass pawn in the future, or also play rook a1 to attack a6. So white has many options, many interesting ideas to improve this position. So knight e3 is a bad retreat because it's like a waste of time. Black played bishop e7, now knight d5, king d7. Yes, I think after bishop e7, white understood that the knight on e3 doesn't make sense, and white correctly went back to d5. That's very important. It's very important to understand and accept the mistakes. So it's like in this case, white played well because first he made a mistake, but after bishop e7, he understood the mistake and he went back to d5. That's very important because sometimes if we don't accept this kind of mistake and maybe we don't like to go back to d5, we make another mistake later. And in this case, I think white made the right choice going back to d5. Yes, it wastes time, but it's still good. So king d7, knight takes e7. Maybe this trade is not like forced. Maybe I also like play c4 again to improve the position because the knight is a strong piece. So yeah, simplify makes sense for white, but probably the knight was slightly stronger. And also to avoid this trade, black should play bishop d8. That's not very, very good. So I think play c4 in this case was better than trade immediately. Why we can say that white doesn't need to hire in this case. So after knight e7, king e7, white played knight c3, and then rook c8, attacking the knight. Knight e5, good idea. Very important thing is not possible for black to take this pawn. It's a trick because if black takes, there is obviously knight d5, so it's a fork, so it's not a great idea. For this reason, black played rook c8, knight d5, king e6, and now c4. Yes, we told a lot about c4, and now he played c4. Yes, it's very good to support the knight and also in the future to support the pawns. g6, and now g5. I like g5. g5 is a very nice try. The idea is block the f pawn and in the future try to fight on the f file, in which also the knight can help, can control many squares. h5, h5, rook h8, so black is trying to take the open file. This makes sense. Rook f1, rook b7, bishop e3, and now the rook is ready to attack f6. Rook h7, rook f6, king d7, and now c5. Nice move, c5. The idea is that after dc5, bc5, the rook can join to d6, so for white it's possible to improve the rook. That's very good idea. So then dc5, bishop c5. Okay, I think in this case also bc5 was possible. I like bishop c5, but I think it was also possible bc5 because after this move, after bc5, and let's say rook takes b3, there is c6, king maybe c8, for example, and then bishop b6. The point is that white is really playing is for the checkmate, is for the promotion, and for example after, I don't know, let's say rook h8, I don't know which rook can he play, there is rook f7, and then white can really play for checkmate ideas. I don't know, I'm trying to do some example, even if it's hard. There is like rook c7, king b8, rook b7, if king there is checkmate, and if king c8, there is always checkmate with knight e7. So the point is that in this position is also possible take with a pawn. So going back is also possible take. Oops, what happened? No. Okay, so what happened in this position after c5? It's possible to take with the pawn, because even if white loses the pawn, then white has concrete way to promote or to play for the checkmate. White took with the bishop is like safer to not lose the pawn. a5, rook d6, king c8, knight b6, nice check, king c7, b5. Okay, b5 is good. Now the black position is completely blocked, so the white plan would be like improve the king and then win the game easily. So rook h1, king d2. Now the game is basically lost because there is no way for black to defend this position. White improved his king, and after that black was forced to sacrifice because white is trying to check here, and so imagine black plays this move to the next sample. We can play rook c6, maybe it's better, king b8, rook c8, king there. So there are very nice checkmate ideas like this. For this reason, black is forced to play rook d4 to avoid the checkmate, but giving a rook for the bishop, it's clear that in game it's much easier to win. King d4, rook there, king c5, check, and now to avoid the checkmate, black is trying to trade the rooks, but now then game is completely lost because there are no moves for black, and the simple idea for white is simply go here, take all the pawns, and if black push the pawn like he played in the game, simply king e4 is winning because white will take all the pawns without any chance for black to set this position. If black takes the knight, for sure there is promotion, and white wins. So that's the point about this game. So I like this game. It's very interesting, considering that was played between a candidate master. Perkins was candidate master against a FIDE master, David Bassett. David Bassett at the time, his rating was 23-46, a very strong player. In this case, black. What we can say? That white played very well the opening, and black made a mistake making the sacrifice on e4. Mistake because after that, it took a very bad endgame. After that, white played very well, precise moves, and was able to win the game in a very good way. So, very good game, and I hope you enjoyed it. and see you for the next videos. Bye!